The next person I'm going to be introducing is Peter Schultz. Now, he is actually the editor of The Winning Secret and the president of Cash Flow Heaven Publishing. Peter's actually been showing self-directed investors how to trade successfully since 1996 and is a nationally known speaker on options trading, the author of Passage to Freedom, the Option Success Trading Package, the Winning Secret Trading Package, the Explosive Profits Package, and the Greatest Option Strategies on Earth. Fascinated by the idea of asset-produced monthly income, Peter founded Cash Flow Heaven Publishing in 1999. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Peter Schultz.
Okay, thank you very much, Christopher. I really appreciate that introduction. We've got a lot to cover, and I want to get going here, but I just want to let you know something right up front, and that is successful trading does not have to be super complicated. And if you've got a lot of indicators and you're always looking for a new indicator, it doesn't actually have to be that way. There's just some simple things that you can follow. And I'm going to show you what those are. If you have the right things going for you, you can actually do pretty well here. And the subject of this particular webinar is how to identify and leverage momentum for explosive profits. And there's actually two of us that work on this. I'm the publisher. There's a lot of administration that needs to go on, and there's a lot of things that we need to do in the background to make everything work. But I want to introduce the chief strategist, and that's Pete Stolzers. And he does our momentum trading service, and he's super good at it. And the name of that service is Option Success, and I'll show you what goes into that. It's actually really cool. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about Pete's background, just so you know who you're kind of listening to and maybe why you should listen. He started his career as a floor trader on the Chicago Board of Trade, and he rose to senior vice president fairly quickly at Man Financial, and that's where Pete and I met back in the 1990s. He was a senior vice president at Man. And he eventually moved to senior vice president at Terra Nova Trading, and they were one of the first ones in the early 2000s to come out with an electronic trading network, and that was very advanced at the time, where you didn't have actually an open outcry system. It was all done online, just like the NASDAQ is done today. And then he actually became an institutional trader, and he traded thousands of options contracts per day. So if you're an options trader, you should really be able to appreciate this. You think about trading 10 contracts at a time, and maybe you're wondering if you should up it to 20 contracts, and if you can handle that much risk or whatever. Well, imagine if you were entrusted with trading thousands of options contracts per day. You'd probably get pretty good at it. Otherwise, they might not keep you there for very long, and I think that's where Pete really honed his skills. And so he's been the chief option strategist of Option Success since 2006. So we've been doing this for 8 years now, with really good success. We've got hedge fund traders on there. We've got a lot of professional traders. A lot of people wouldn't trade without it. And the good news for you is it's not super complicated. It's really straightforward. You're going to be able to follow it pretty easily. And I'm going to show you what kind of goes into it. And you can actually do this on your own with your own trades, or you can come on board with us. Either one is fine. So what he did is he developed a proprietary scanning program and system specifically designed to find and profit from momentum trading setups. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to show you what goes into those, and like I say, it's a lot simpler than you might think. So the system is based on finding stocks with all three major directional drivers all in alignment, and then picking the right option to maximize the move. Very simple. Most traders just focus on direction, but the speed at which the stock moves is critical, because when you own options, for two reasons. One is time decay on defense and delta on offense. So the problem with buying options, especially short-term options that are designed to benefit from momentum, is if the momentum goes out of the trade, or even worse, if the trade reverses, you can lose money very quickly. So you really need to have that direction of momentum in your favor. If you're already an options trader, you know this. But the good news is if you have really good momentum, you get this tremendous delta advantage. And I'm going to go over that really quickly. But I mean, here's a really great example of a trade. And I'm going to just grab my little red pen here. This is one of the things to look for is when a stock is going in a certain direction already. You've got a channel here. It hits support, and then you get a gap. That is very tradable. You get in here, and you can see what momentum can do. Let me just show you what that looks like. So if the stock is about $94, And you see a lot of momentum here. This is taking advantage of the delta. So what momentum allows you to do is actually buy your options slightly out of the money. So in this case, say you're going to buy a 96 option. And this is, by the way, if you haven't seen this platform before, this is the Thinkorswim platform. Absolutely love this platform for a bunch of reasons. One of the reasons is you can set it up to show you exactly what you want. And our favorite columns here are the probability of out of the money, the delta, and the bid ask, and so forth. But just looking at the delta right here, you have a 41 delta. Now what that means if you're not an options trader, if you're not familiar with the delta, is that for every dollar the stock goes up in price, the option will go up 41 cents. So the delta is the relationship between how much the option goes up in value in relation to the stock. So when you buy a little bit out of the money, you have a lower delta. So in this case, the stock is 94. We're buying an 96 call option. Well, look what happens when you have a little bit of momentum. All of a sudden, your option is a couple dollars in the money, and your delta jumps from 41 to 65. So instead of your stock going up 41 cents for every dollar, or the option going up 41 cents for every dollar the stock goes up, now it's going up 65 cents. So this is absolutely huge. So if you're a directional options trader, the number one thing that you should be looking for in your stocks is the direction and momentum. That is absolutely the holy grail for directional traders. So let's just take a look at how to get that. And once again, when you trade momentum, it allows you to buy at a low delta and sell at a high delta, and that's when you can make the really big profits really quickly. And you're going to feel like this guy that was just shot out of a catapult or a cannon, and there's money floating down all around you. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to trade, and I really appreciate that you're a student of trading and that you're actually on this webinar today and you're wanting to learn something. But I don't think there's anywhere where you can make money faster than on a low-cost option when you have momentum going in your favor. And it's really thrilling and really exciting to see the profits add up really, really quickly. So the key is to place your trades in the path of momentum. So how do we do that? How do we go about that? Well, the first thing, the number one thing we look for is the market. And this is really, really basic stuff, but you know what? It's the basics that work, so don't overlook it. It's just like concentrating on the fundamentals of basketball. If you don't know how to dribble the ball, you're going to have a hard time scoring a lot of points. So first thing we look at is the market, make the trend your friend, and keep the wind at your back on every trade. So that's two big cliches, and forgive me for using a cliche, but gosh darn it, you know, the darn things work. I mean, it's true. So you've just taken a look at in the previous webinar, and in a lot of these, you know, you'll see how to make the trend your friend. You can take a look at the moving averages. Basically, in a lot of cases, it's no more complicated than just taking a look at the chart and seeing which direction that stock is going. Also, you're going to want a good chart set up to get in the path of explosive profits. I'm going to show you 5 of the very best ones here in just a couple of minutes. And the stock fundamentals. You want those fundamentals. You want the earnings and, you know, the revenue, the sales, everything going in your favor. And you might ask yourself, look, why should I even care about fundamentals if I'm a short-term momentum trader? Who cares about that? I'm going to show you why it's important here in just a second. So trading with the market must be in a consistent trend for momentum trading to have the highest odds of success. However, short-term options are extremely time sensitive, so timing is still very important. So here's a chart that is going up. It's obvious it's going up in a channel, but is there still money to be made on the downside? Can you still place trades up here, bearish trades, and make money? And absolutely you can. Is it easier to trade with the general trend? Absolutely. But the point of this whole chart here, the point of showing you this is identify your time frame. If you're only planning on being in a trade 5 days or so, you can trade counter trend and still do really, really well. So you want to trade with the market because approximately 70% of stocks go in the general direction of the market. So in trading with a general market trend, you'll increase your odds of winning by approximately 70%. And the easy way to trade the market is to buy calls at support in an uptrend and buy puts at resistance in a downtrend. So once again, the key is to always trade with the wind at your back. plus certain chart patterns greatly increase your chances of winning. So I'm going to go over the most basic chart patterns there are. If you know these chart patterns already, that's fantastic. And if you do know them already, I want to remind you of them, because oftentimes the more we get into something, the more we get into trading, the more advanced we get, the more we forget the basics. So this is really, really simple. What you're going to want to do here is, when you have obvious support and obvious resistance, and this is often the case, I know people use moving averages and other indicators. We do too. We combine them into some amazing proprietary support and resistance indicators, but getting back to just drawing straight lines on the chart, it's enormously effective. Here we've got a bottom. We've hit uptrend support again. This is a great place to take a bullish trade, another great place to take a bullish trade. Here, we're obviously hitting resistance. When you get these down bars, you get confirmation. Go bearish, and you can enter your stops to get yourself out when you need to. But these are excellent times to enter a bearish position right up here at resistance. So this is probably when people talk about chart patterns, entering a channel of a stock or an index going in a certain direction in a channel, when it hits support, when it hits resistance, is the easiest chart to follow and the easiest chart to make money with. The other big one, the other really, really simple one, is a major trend break. When you get a major trend break and it is confirmed, you want to trade the downside. You'll be getting in at the beginning of a trend. I will show you how to enter trailing stops so you can get out on a reversal, but this is a chart you want to follow. When you see a major trend break, you want to get in that direction. This is one of our absolute favorites. This is one you should always keep an eye on, is when you have a long, extended, horizontal chart and then you see a breakout on big volume. This is a fantastic time to get in the trade. Oftentimes we'll see these reverse, hit support once again, and then it is absolutely off to the races. This is one of the most dependable chart patterns to follow, and this is one you should constantly be scanning for. This is the famous, everybody knows this, is the head and shoulders pattern. And once again, we're looking for this neckline, the bottom point, and once that's broken decisively, that is your signal to go short. And if you're looking at these chart patterns right now and you go, boy, these are the most basic chart patterns, you're right. They work, and they work for one really simple reason. The stock market is like a vote. The more people agree, the more likely the stock is going to go in a given direction. When you stick with the most basic chart patterns, everybody recognizes those. Everybody agrees that's what's going to happen. Everybody agrees. Everybody that fancies themselves as any kind of a technical analyst at all knows that, boy, when this neckline is broken, it's time to get short. When everybody agrees on something and you get in, you are really trading with the crowd, and that is when the momentum can really increase and you can make a heck of a lot of money very, very quickly, especially when you're trading short-term options. And this is a classic double bottom reversal, and once again, your signal to go long is when you get above the top of the W. And here it waffled around here. You get this big green bar, and it is time to go long, and you are absolutely off to the races. Now, the beauty of these chart patterns is every one of them works just as well in reverse. So a triple bottom would be, and a break of the line would be very, very bullish. In this case, we see a triple top, and we see a break right here. That's your signal to go short, and look what happens. I mean, the thing just falls like a rock. Bearish trades can actually be more profitable than bullish trades because stocks typically fall faster than they rise. Fear is a stronger emotion than greed. That's why you'll often see these huge down spikes. So the third driver is stock fundamentals. Now, the fundamentals are things like revenue, earnings, and business conditions. They all drive the price of the stock over the long term. And the biggest fundamental to pay attention to is statements made during earnings releases. Forward guidance is very, very important. Nobody knows better than what the company is likely to do than the officers of that company. And if they tell you that the trend is looking down over the next 6 months or so, or in the current quarter, pay attention to that. If they tell you the trend is looking up, pay pay attention to that. The market really does. Oftentimes we'll see stocks come out with really poor earnings, but the upside guidance is excellent, and you'll see that stock zoom higher. And you'll see the opposite as well. So forward guidance by the officers of the company in the conference call is probably the most important fundamental to look for. So why should fundamentals matter for short-term momentum traders? Let's say you have a really, really great chart set up. All the indicators are going in a certain direction, except it's the exact opposite direction of the fundamentals. Why should you care about that? If you're a technical trader, you really like your indicators, you really like trading charts, why should you care how much money the company made last quarter or what their prospects are in the coming quarter? Well, the answer is surprise announcements. So here, you don't want to look at like this guy here when he's got a bullish trade on and a bearish announcement gets made, because the darn thing will just reverse so quick. And I'll tell you, I showed a picture of this guy because that's what I felt like sometimes when I'm trading counter to the fundamentals of a stock. So here's why fundamentals matter. If the surprise news is going in the same direction as the fundamentals, which it probably will, the announcement can really drive the stock your direction. What happens is you never know. Everybody knows when earnings is going to come out. You know, that's on the calendar. That's a given. We all know that. You can prepare for that. You can get out of a trade before earnings are announced, or you can do a strangle if you just want to take advantage of that volatility. There's a lot of ways to play earnings. The trouble is when you're in a trade and the company makes some big announcement and you're unprepared for it. Well, if you're trading, if say the stock's fundamentals are very bullish and the chart set up in the market is bullish, you've got all three of those drivers going in your direction, chances are really, really good that when the company makes a surprise announcement, it's going to be bullish, it's going to be well interpreted, and the stock is going to get driven even further your way. If you don't care about fundamentals and a stock is really bearish, their earnings are declining, you know, things are looking really bleak, but it takes an upturn and you go, well, I'm going to trade this upturn, this short-term upturn. You might do okay, but during the course of the trade, while you're in that trade, if the company decides to come out and make any further pronouncements about their prospects, and those happen to be really bearish as well, chances are you're going to see a reversal or you're going to get killed on that trade. So you want those fundamentals going in your favor. It's really, really important. And I'm going to give you just a really quick example here. A while back, well, Tesla has had this big rebound. So the stock was going up really, really well. And then they announced this new $5 billion battery factory, and they're just going to dominate the battery market, and they're going to expand, and they're just going to have a huge new profit center, and it's going to go really well. Well, what happens when you already have some upside momentum? So say you got in this trade because of the trend, because of the upside momentum, because of some gaps for all the right reasons, and then a surprise announcement comes out when you're in the trade, you get this huge gap higher, you get an 8.
Welcome to GoToWebinar, Webinars Made Easy.
But you would have made money on this trade on the upside anyway if it would have just kept going in the direction it was. Once in a while you get a surprise announcement, and it's just like icing on the cake. It's just this huge serendipity. It's where you make 3 or 4 times as much on a trade as you thought you were going to in a much shorter amount of time. And that's why we pay attention to stock fundamentals. And most short-term traders will tell you, who cares? You know, just look at the chart. Well, the problem is you don't want something hitting the newswire, especially before the market opens, and have a gap reversal while you're in a position. So fundamentals actually make a pretty big difference. They sure can. So which option do you buy? We've just taken a look at the stock up to this point in stock direction. So obviously, first you form an opinion, you pick a direction. So if the stock's going up, obviously you're going to buy calls. If the stock's going down, you're going to buy puts. But another really important thing to look at is duration. How long do you anticipate the move to last? And the chart will really tell you that. For quick plays, 5 days or less, you can stay front month. And a front month option is an option that's expiring this month. Now, if you just got a week or maybe 2 weeks left on that option, I would still buy the next month out. But the point is you can buy fairly short term. If the move will take 3 to 4 weeks, go out to at least the next month. So here's my rule of thumb, and you might want to write this down. And I've been trading options on a daily basis for a long, long time. for gosh, 15, 16 years or more. My rule of thumb is I always buy at least 3 times more time than I think I'm going to need on the trade. So if I think that this trade is going to completely play out in the next week, in the next 5 trading days, I will buy 3 weeks at a time. If I think the move could take as much as a month, I'll buy 3 months at a time. And the reason is number one, I want the time to be right. If I get a short little reversal or if it waffles around sideways for a while, I don't want to get shaken out of the trade because I didn't have enough time. And number two is if this move is really going to get overextended and it's really going to take off, maybe, I want to be in that trade a little bit longer, and buying a little bit of extra time will allow you to do that. So the third thing that you look for on which option to buy is magnitude. And that is how fast and how powerful is that move going to be. So if the move is going to be steady but small, you want to use in-the-money options with a high delta. So that's if you just have a chart that's really trending slow and steady in a certain direction and you just kind of want to hop on the escalator and casually ride that thing higher. Buy in-the-money options. Now for our purposes, most of the time we're looking for an explosive move. So if you have a really good setup for an explosive move, you want to buy slightly out of the money options. And the reason is to get that big delta bump that we talked about in the beginning, where it goes from a little bit out of the money at a lower delta and suddenly you're in the money at a higher delta. And that's when you're going to see your option appreciate the fastest, by buying a slightly out of the money option. So all 3 drivers, market direction, stock chart up, and fundamentals, are all included in the recommendations inside the Option Success Daily Report. Now, like I say, all of the things that I just taught you can absolutely do on your own. But we've taken all of those fundamentals, all those 3 market drivers, and included them on every trade, plus a whole lot of other things, proprietary technical indicators that give us an idea of which stocks are likely to move the fastest. So you can actually take what you just learned and do really well with it. And what I'm going to show you here is just a really easy way to get all those things working in your favor. And I want to show you some of the results. So, and how Pete, our chief strategist, arrives at this. So he uses over 80 proprietary searches to filter out 20,000 stocks down to just 300 stocks. So the 300 symbols are organized so he can click on the symbols and flip through the charts. And then he uses his own pattern recognition skills to identify candidates. And he's found that with his eyes and experience, he can pick up on price patterns that a computer can't. And by the end of this process, the field has been narrowed down to approximately 20 stocks. And up to this point, all of the analysis has been technically driven. So now Pete digs into the financial statements to see the fundamentals. And here's what you get. You get, first of all, you log in and you get the market commentary. So the most important thing to know is which direction to trade. And his market comments are absolutely extensive. He tells you exactly what to look for that day, what's going to drive the market, and which side of the market to be in. You get a trading plan for the current market, and then you get a chart of the S&P 500 that shows current support and resistance and what to watch out for. So you know right away which side of the market to trade. And one of the things that I've learned about Pete is because of his experience, he has a really, really good handle on which way the market's going to go. And I'll tell you, I do my own trading. I've got my own strategies. I'm really big on credit spreads, and I've got my own service for that. But I do not trade. I do not go into the market without just logging in for about 5 minutes and just reading Pete's update every day. I mean, this alone would be worth subscribing. And like I say, a subscription's not that much money, but you want to have everything going in your favor as you possibly can. And Pete's commentary, it's like having a really, really experienced trader right at your shoulder every day. Then he produces 2 new high probability picks are posted inside the daily report every day the market's open. The stock most likely to break higher and the stock most likely to break lower. Now, you always want to trade in the direction of the trend. So if the market's going up, you want to concentrate on the bullish trade. If the market's going down, you want to concentrate on the bearish trade. But the nice thing about having trades in both directions is you're building up an arsenal of trades in the opposite direction in case you see a reversal in the market. When you do see that reversal, you can get in and start trading the opposite side immediately because you've got a whole bunch of super good candidates already lined up. So this is what you see inside the daily report. You get the stock ticker, the technical setup, And you can even click here to see charts. You get the stock's fundamental analysis and the tactic. And finally, you get the individual commentary on what the stock is likely to do immediately, and even specific comments on entry point, possible options to use, and even to stop to protect yourself in the event of a reversal. Then after the bullish report, you get a bearish report that tells you all the same things. So once the stock makes it to the daily report, you have everything you need right at your fingertips: the company, ticker, chart setup, 4 links so you can quickly see the chart pattern, plus the fundamental outlook, and finally the tactic showing specific ways to play this individual stock. So 2 well-researched stocks per day is more than enough to fuel any trading program. And if you're an active trader, you're going to love this because you have really, really good trading opportunities where you have an opportunity to see stocks with all 3 drivers going for them in their favor. But you get one more advantage with this system that takes the guesswork out of which of these trades is strong enough to really produce the profits. You're going to like this, especially if you like momentum. Every stock is added to a dynamically updated live updates page that shows which stocks are moving the fastest, so you'll know exactly which picks to jump on, and more importantly, when. So this is one I took a screenshot a little while back, and these are constantly moving. Every couple of minutes they're updated. So it's like a horse race, and you see today's change. That's what's happened today. You see yesterday, you see the day before that, and you see the day before that. So this is happens to be the bullish watch list. When you see stocks, several of them here, where all 4 days are bullish, you know you've got a heck of a trend going. And this is what the change has been just this day, whatever this particular day is. So it's like a horse race. So where you see a stock that's constantly rising on this list, you know it's got a lot of momentum, and that's the ones that you need to focus on. So the beauty of this setup is there's no more guesswork. You can see exactly which stocks are doing really well. You can go over here and click on any of them to get the full report, and you can click over here to see a chart. So it makes it really, really easy. So if you like to actively trade and you love momentum, this is the best tool I've ever seen for trading momentum. And just to show you the results, these are just these are ones that I've just picked up recently. This one just closed out of yesterday. VMW. Now this is in kind of a bearish market, but look at the relative strength here. This is when it was recommended, and this is what just happened, and we're out of the calls at 100% profit in just a week. This is Trinity Industries. The calls are up 200% in also just a week's period of time. This is Gilead Biosciences. The $80 calls are up 180% in just 3 days. And these are actual recommendations Pete's made. You can see where the recommendations was made right here at the daily report, and then you can see what it did. Never traded below here, never gave you a chance to get out of the stock, never stopped you out, never gave you a reason. This is called getting in the path of momentum. You see this huge gap right here after we're already in it, and the $24 calls are up 600%. Works just as well, if not even better, on the downside. Here's LinkedIn. They took a little dip here. We've got a heck of a trend. The 190 puts are up 100% in just 2 days. We've got ARM Holdings. We get in, it goes up just a little bit, not enough to stop us out, but because the fundamentals, the market and the stock are all going in the same direction, look at this gap. The $50 puts are up 60% in just 2 days. Now, how do you prevent losses on reversals? So a lot of people go, well, listen, it's great that you're showing me these wonderful trades that are making a lot of money, but do they ever reverse? Is it ever time to get out? Well, of course it is. And here's how you protect your profits on a momentum trade, is when you get in, so you have an indicator here, it gaps up and you get in, you can manually put your stop here. As it continues to climb, it gets in, you manually enter your stop again. This is called manually setting a trailing stop. It goes up again, you move your stop higher. Once it reverses, you're out with all the profits that you made between this point and this point. Here's the problem. It takes a certain amount of discipline and a certain amount of attention to constantly be moving your manual stops up. So here's what we teach you in the Option Success, the Explosive Profits course, is how to set automatic trailing stops. These things are the best thing that ever came out since trading was invented, in my opinion. And the reason is they never, once you've got a profit on a trade, you should never have a loss. So the stop automatically follows your trade higher, and you can set it either based on a percentage or an actual dollar amount, and it just follows it up. So as long as the momentum is in your favor, you're making money. The second it reverses, you're out of the trade and you capture those profits. What I love about automatic trailing stops is it doesn't matter if you're watching the market or not. Those things work with or without you. They're just another contingent order, and the best brokerage houses allow you to set those now. And like I say, my favorite brokerage house for trading options is Thinkorswim, and they have a fantastic trailing stop setup, and I can even show you exactly how to set those. So you know, this is how you preserve your profits. And probably the biggest thing about this is how you trade without fear, because you know if and when that momentum reverses, and you know it will. We've all seen those big spikes higher. We've all seen those big moves. You know they're going to turn around. And the big, you know, nail biter is, gosh, when do I take my profits? You know, I'm up 200% on the trade. You know, should I take my profits? And there's all this fear around that. And sometimes there's more fear on a trade that you're up on than on a trade that you've got a loss on, because you're so scared that you're going to lose those profits. Well, trailing stops are truly, absolutely the answer. Absolutely love these. So I just want to tell you the biggest shortcut to finding the highest probability trades is the service that we offer, and the free advantages, big advantages that you get are market direction and how to trade it, and those comments are always logged in. They're in there about a half an hour after the market opens to an hour. You can just log in and see what's going on for the day. You get 2 strong directional picks per day in both directions, and you get a live updates page so you can see at a glance the best momentum trades right now. So a subscription to the service is $97 per month, and active traders love it because of how easy it is to get good trade setups and the profit potential available. We've got a bunch of people that have been on the service for years and years and years, and they tell us that they wouldn't trade without it, and a lot of these are professional traders. You can make a lot of money very, very quickly on the right trading setup, and nothing drives an options price like momentum. So if you like the idea of leveraging the fastest moving stocks, you're going to really love this service, and that's why I want to give you a really good incentive to get started. And I'm doing this for our webinar hosts because I want to give them a thank you for their patrons, and I want to give you a really good reason to get started, a really good incentive. So in addition to your subscription, you get 4 momentum trading videos, and that's why trade momentum in the first place. What's in it for you? What's the benefit? How to get in the path of momentum. Number 3 is momentum profit setups. Number 4 is the shortest path to momentum profits. Plus you get a whole section on how to maximize your subscription, what to look at first, how to use the live updates page, how to quickly prioritize the data, and how to home in on the most efficient options. Plus you get a special 2-month discount. Instead of paying almost $200 for 2 months of the service, with this webinar special you can get started for just $155. Plus you get all the bonuses, and your renewal stays at the special discounted rate for as long as you maintain your subscription. So this webinar special is explosivewinners.com, and we can actually post that, and I'm going to just put it in here. It's explosivewinners.com, and you can go there to get the special, but I really want to give you a chance to try it out and get in there, because I think if you're an active trader, you're just absolutely going to love it. And I have one of the questions here: what is the recommended size of account to start your service with? And you can trade this for as little as $2,000. A lot of these options are relatively inexpensive. I kind of recommend $5,000, but we've had people do really well with $2,000, particularly if you're willing to paper trade it a little bit first. And Thinkorswim has a great paper trading platform to really get the feel of how to set these trailing stops and how to really make sure that you never have a winning trade turn into a losing trade. And if you do have a trade reverse on you immediately, it'll show you exactly how to cut that thing short, and the trailing stops really let your winners run. So listen, I want to thank Christopher and Joshua for having me and hosting this webinar. And I really appreciate you being here. And I really look forward to seeing you on the site.
Okay, Peter, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, that was Peter Schultz. And just to give you remembrance of the actual link, it's www.explosivewinners.com. And don't forget, I sent that out to everyone, so if you could see that, that's www.explosivewinners.com.